and today we got to play Nucleum. So this is a game from Board and Dice, and when Randy first brought it up, I had no idea what the theme was. However, he did mention that this was made by some of my favorite board game designers. So I was interested to see how all that worked out. Hopefully you are too. And that's why you're here. Now, Randy, can you tell us a little bit more about Nucleum?
I can. This is a 2023 release. It currently has a Board Game Geek rating of 8.3 and a Board Game Geek rank of 1147. 1 to 4 player game. Average length is 60 to 150 minutes, it claims. We've never played it that short. It's always taken a lot longer.
Well, there's been people that take their time.
Well, there's that, but there's also, it's just a complex game. Age 14 and up. Design is by Simone Luciani and David Turtzi. So these are some of your favorite designers of some of your favorite games. Art is by Andreas Resch, Piotr Sokolowski, and Zbigniew Umgelter. As you mentioned, published by Board and Dice Games. It's an action selection and retrieval, contract fulfillment, in-game bonuses, hand management, income, and network building are some of the main mechanics of this. It's got a lot.
There's a lot of mechanics going on.
MSRP on this is $70. The cheapest you can find it online is a Card House for $48.95, but it's out of stock currently. Game Nerds actually has it in stock for $48.97 currently. So I would check them out right now if you're interested in a copy.
All right, so let's talk about quality of components. So there are a lot of wooden pieces. You have some wooden stars. So they've got little worker meeples that have little hats on them, and they're a little bit more like Mario. Worker meeples, I don't know. They're a little bit. And then you have like these screen printed fan-like
turbines.
Turbines. You've got your nuclear facilities. And you have these 3D cardboard kind of thing. Plus the cardboard tiles and things like that. I mean, overall, there's a lot of bits to this game. Oh, you do get these pretty inlaid boards, but they do kind of...
They curl a bit.
Yeah, they kind of spin around. And then you also have this interesting... where you, as you get powers, you plug them in.
Yeah, I'm not sure how well that's going to hold up over time because it's just a little flimsy barriers between them. I'm afraid they're going to start bending or...
Well, but
So far, they've worked fine.
Yeah, so overall, quality of component-wise, I think I'll give it a 7. I think everything's, okay. I don't think there's anything truly like breathtaking, but I think they did.
No, there's a lot of bits though, and
there are a lot of bits.
The board is really a nice oversized board, but this is a table hog and a half.
It is. Everyone had to have their auxiliary tables practically.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably give it a 7.5. I think it's because of the volume of bits. There's just a ton of bits. The bad side of that is you have to put this together and take it down every time you play, and it's going to take a while just to set this game up, but there's a lot to get out. Yeah.
So let's talk about the actual theme. So the theme is that you're mining resources, and you're trying to get that to the energy factories and then being able to light up the different buildings or cities as those are created. So you had mentioned when we talked about it, there's a little bit of brass to it, right?
Yeah, there's brass meets Great Western Trail meets Power Grid. That's what I think the three that I compared it to. It's got elements of all three in this.
Yeah. So theme-wise, honestly, it makes a lot of sense, right? You're going to go mine. You're trying to get these resources, and you're trying to get them to the city to light it up. It does make a lot of sense. Now, depending on the buildings that you build, you get special benefits. For example, housing, obviously you get benefits of people because there's more people be able to do the work, and factories as well as industry. So there is a lot of theme, and I think it was well done. Is it a little bit hard? It is it's not a very fun theme. I don't know. But it is still they did really well with it. So I'm going to give it probably an 8. I think they did very well integrating gameplay. I do love the colors that they chose to make it a little bit more fun and friendly. However, it still is kind of a serious...
Yeah, it's an economic game. It's, in essence, it's a deep that's not really economics, I guess, but it feels like an economic game. It's a heavy. This is definitely one of the heavier from the medium to heavy category. I wouldn't call it a full heavy like an 18xx game, but it's darn close. There's a lot of little tiny rules in the rule book, and it took us several playthroughs to get it fully correct. And it's definitely complex concepts in this game. As far as the theme, it's like I said, it's taking elements of Power Grid, and I think it's appropriate for the fact that you're building these power systems and in rail to take your coal to your factories or your nucleum to your factories. I don't think there could be much more added to make it more thematic and without risking having smog in your home or radiation.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give it an 8.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to the actual rule book. Now, I know we had to play this multiple times.
Yes.
And I do think we had to look a couple of things up.
Yes, the rules are 28 pages long. It's got a cover. It's got a little background story about this, what you're trying to accomplish. It's got all the components pictured, which I like. The setup takes 3 pages. And it's got a map. It's got it pictured there and numbered system to figure out how to set everything up. But it is a beast to set up. It's got an assembly instruction, which you only need to do once you've built the little factory things, and it's almost intuitive how to build them anyway. This is kind of overkill, but I'm glad it's there. I don't know if I would have put it in the main rule book. Then it goes into the goal of the game and elements of the map, and everything was in the rule book. We didn't have to go online for anything, I don't think. It's so many minutia rules in this game. It's easy to forget ones. And there's the concepts of what is in network, which is actually more confusing, I think, than the insurance networks.
Yeah, I think I think that was our biggest confusion.
Yeah.
Was what would be considered a network.
Yeah. Apart from that, I mean, the iconography is pretty straightforward. Once you get the game down, they do have some nice cheat sheets for it. The cheat sheets are very helpful. They go through the main actions of the game and what you do when you reset.
And honestly, there were a lot of times that they were questioning it, and I was just looking at the cheat sheet, and I'm like, but it's right here. Why are you looking it up?
Yeah.
And Randy's like, what are you talking about?
And most of the tiles that have upgrades are just plays on the basic actions that you just get different perks on. Now, some of them are a little misleading, like where it gives you a 2 on it and makes it look like you get to do 2 times, but it's really a different meaning for what you get two of. For example, there's one that lets you take additional action tiles, and it says you can do 2. Well, it's not saying you get the action tile twice or the contracts. You don't get to take 2 contracts. It was contracts. And you get the bonus of the place you place twice. But the way it looks like you get 2 contracts. So there's some of it was a little more confusing than I think it should have been, but in general, I think the iconography is pretty good in this game. Given the complexity of the subject matter, I think the rulebook's appropriate for what it is. You're going to have to play it. It's just a beast to learn in one setting. The first time, just assume you're going to get some things wrong.
Yeah, if you have the opportunity to have someone teach you, choose that method.
Yeah. So, I'll give the rulebook, I think it does a pretty good job for what it is. I'll give it an 8. I don't think I even saw any kind of typos or translation issues, maybe in 1 or 2 minor ones. But in general, it was a really good rulebook. It's just, there's so much to it. It's just a beast to learn.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to the actual gameplay. Now, again, we mentioned this game's really complex, so we're going to keep it kind of light. So what will end up happening is that you have these action tiles. Now, you'll start out with a certain set, and they have 2 different actions on them except for the wild, which is 1 question mark. And that is any action at a -1 money cost. So there's a slight reduction in cost.
Every player has a variable set. There's no way to play this game where everybody has the same. That's one grievance I had with it. I prefer games where you can play them as everyone has the same abilities, and then you have the option of adding a variable.
Well, I mean, and yeah, you always gave me A.
It was such a beast to reset, because you have to not only reset those, you have to reset this, you have to change boards. I mean, everything about this it's just, there's a lot of reset if you change.
All right, so with that, so like I said, there are 2 actions. Now, there's a couple of options. Now, I can play a tile here in this little groove here, and then I will take the action. So I will take the top, and then I'll take the bottom, or vice versa. And then I will do those actions. So
you also have the ability to fulfill a contract if you meet the criteria, if you play a tile above your board.
Correct. So with that, you can build. So building you get to lay down a building, or you can end up setting up a mine or a turbine. You can also pick up a contract. You can actually get another action tiles. And then you can, I think that's pretty much all the actions when you place a tile. There's some that give you like increases on your production track. So these are your production tracks.
Or additional stars.
Yeah, or additional stars, or straight up money and meeples. So those are the different actions you can take. Now, there is another thing you can do. So say if I need to place a railroad because I'm trying to get my mine to my turbine. Okay. Now, so for example, maybe I need to connect here and here. So I can end up placing a tile. Now I'm going from green to green, so I want something matching. So I'm going to play this here. All right. So I'm going to pick out this tile, but I'm going to place it here. Because this green and green matches, I get to trigger that action. So I get to do that action. And then I'm going to put one of my meeples there.
On your worker.
If you do not have a free meeple, you can't do this.
Right.
Sorry, Tough Doodles. All right. Now, that's my turn. That's my action, is to place one of these things. I will not turn over that tile until that road is completed, in which case you will gain scoring. So it comes around one more time.
Or someone else could complete the railroad.
Or someone else can. And they did that to me a lot. Made me mad. Okay. All right. So then I'm going to do this. So now it's connected. I get matching purple and matching green. So I get to do all 3 of these actions because they match. Now, once I do those actions, all right, I'm going to turn those tiles on and score them. Because these 2 railroads are touching, I'm going to go down here and it says I get 2 upgrades on my victory upgrade ×1. Okay,
so you get to raise your income for victory points by 2.
Correct. And then I'm going to put my meeples back on here, and now my road is complete, so I'm connected to that city. The other thing you can do is you can reset. So once I have placed a lot of my tiles, I've done a couple of things, and now I need more resources because I'm broke. Then I'm going to reset. So I'm going to look about how many stars I have. Now, you get stars from powering cities, also through different action tiles that you can have. And I'm going to change those out to go here on the board. I don't actually have any because I didn't actually play this round. I'm going to be putting it on the 0. Now, if I put it on the 0, I'm going to get -3 victory points at the end of the game. But I'm also going to get a meeple and 2 coins, because I'm broke. But normally, you're going to have a few, right? So I get to place it on one of these. Now, say if I had 2 stars, I'm going to put it on the 2 area, and I'm going to do ×1 plus this bonus in this area.
At the end of the game.
At the end of the game. And for each star that you have in that area, that is your multiplier.
But you can only have 1 in each highlighted section of that region. So if you played it on the 1 or 2 previously, you wouldn't be able to play there. You get more stars to go a higher level or go down here. This is the 0 is the only one that you can play multiple stars in the same area on, and it gives you negative victory points at the end of the game. But this is very similar to Great Western Trail. When you make your delivery of cattle, you can go to whatever city you can reach, but if you've already got a star there, you can't place a star.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, it's not just one space, but a whole section of spaces that are colored and highlighted the same, that you cannot place but one star in that area.
Yep. But I will say different sections, not necessarily by color point. These lines are for the different bonuses. So for example, 11 gives you a ×4 to this bonus, but a 13 gives you a ×4 with this bonus. So if you get a higher payout for going on the 11 versus the 14, that's good to know, right? So just pay attention to some of those little nuancy things, because you may end up not necessarily wanting to go that high to do that. But you do lose all the stars once you do that.
No matter how many stars you have.
So if you can't use it, can't use it. So that's kind of a bummer.
And at the end of the game, or after each player has played their first star up to 3 stars, you're going to have a scoring during that where whoever's furthest on the star track gets 6 points, whoever's second gets 2. So there's during game scoring to be had from those stars as well.
Yeah. Now there is, so what is the end of the game? The end of the game is when 3 of the condition, well, 2. Depending on how many players there are.
4 players is 2, 3 or 4.
Yeah. So, and that will trigger the end of the game. So that can mean you run out of these tiles, you run out of these tiles, or people have placed reset a couple of times. So, let's talk about final thoughts. We played this a lot, and we weren't mad about it.
I know the first time we played, we realized we were doing some things wrong, and at the end of the night, we wanted to play it again, but it was too late.
It was way too late.
The next day, Adam had messaged me more than I've ever heard from him before, asking when we were going to get together to play it.
Because he ended up watching a review about how to play it, because we were trying to make sure we got the rules right. And then I was like, I can't wait to play this again too. But guys, this has been a crazy couple months for us. Because my dad was in the hospital, now my little brother's in the hospital. It's been a moment. So we're doing good to keep our head afloat. So no, but we were very excited to finally get this out. And then we played it again on Wednesday and again on Thursday. And once we finally hashed out the rules, I still really enjoyed it. I love the mechanics of the game. I had a lot of fun. I loved being able to choose my actions, but also being able to do the tiles. I like, trying to gather stars. I'm sad it has to do with mining. So I'm a little sad on the theme, but they did such a great job on the theme. It's, but I think they did a great job. I had a lot of fun. And that's actually what board games really are about, is having fun. And I had a lot of fun with this game. I'm going to give this an 8.5. And only because as long as he can keep my attention, I'll probably go to 9. But it was really good.
Yeah, I think Rob was right with you on 8.5. As far as me, my only concern so far with this game is it feels like some of the variable player powers are a little bit more powerful than others. There's the one that Adam has had every time. That it basically gives you extra stars for completing different actions that lets him score a ton of points. And I don't think the board I'm playing, I like the concept of it because it's all about building up and lighting up your buildings. But I've never been able to do it as fast as what he's doing with those stars. He's churning and burning through the actions way faster than I can. And so I feel like there's maybe some balance issues with the abilities. And this is another reason why I wish you could play it where everybody had even abilities.
Yeah. Oh, one thing I didn't mention, which is kind of relevant. If you reset and your actions are shorter than your production, you cannot gain, you have to stop where your actions stop. And we had some issues, even in the second, third game, people remembering that.
Yeah.
That they are restricted to that. And honestly, I think that was a great thing because what ends up happening is a high production, it would behoove you just to reset.
Yeah.
But the thing is, early in the game, I don't think it's a bad thing to reset early as long as you're getting all of your production. Because most of the time with these type of games, you're like, don't reset, don't reset, don't reset.
Mm-hmm.
But early on, if you don't have any resources and you're just trying to figure out something to do, like,
well, it's good and bad because I know Alan tried that strategy when we played the first game, and he ended up putting a star down here at the very bottom. I don't think his stars got higher than the midway up, and he was.
well, I'm just talking about like I'm just talking about like the
points.
first one.
Yeah,
Because the first one you're really tight, but by the second time you should be able to really run it.
yeah. I mean, I never ever ran into a situation where I felt like I had to. I was always the last person to play a star every time we've played. Because
No, the first time I was that way because I didn't get to place the last star.
I was going through and basically building up tiles to generate, and the tiles were I was earning a ton of points off of contracts, and
yeah,
you can balance out with the lack of turning on buildings to some extent with contracts, but there's so many points to be had with getting the high star count, which generally comes from flipping your buildings to lit. So it's almost so powerful that strategy you have to do.
No, but contracts, I think you cannot forget contracts.
Oh no.
You cannot forget them because you get something when you place them down. You get something when you finish them. They are super powerful. Mm-hmm. And the one game that I played and I kind of forgot about him because I was so worried about I did horrible on. And I was like, oh, do not forget your contracts.
But you also have to keep your network up to date going against your opponents because, like, if you get cut off from the Nucleum and the facility or the locations to play Nucleum, because you can use anybody's rails. Rails it doesn't matter who owns them, but you have to have connectivity. But in order to get to like the coal, you have to have connectivity to there, and you have to pay for the coal. So you need to have your energy sources to flip your tiles, and people can drive up the prices on that really quick if they burn through all that coal on you. And then if you don't manage to get your facilities down to produce Nucleum, it's going to be tough for you to flip those buildings over.
Yeah. So what did you say score-wise?
I'm probably going to give it an 8, basically because I would have gone 8.5 if it weren't for the fact that I feel like there may be some balancing issues with the abilities. And I wish there was a way to play it where you didn't have those abilities, that everybody had evens strategy.
Well, maybe we just need to rotate the boards a little bit.
Well, that's fine, and I think we should. It's just, it is a beast to change it. That's what I'm saying. Once you've got it, it was like, well, we can spend another 30 minutes and rotate everybody's boards.
We should have just rotated people's seats, but we don't change. Yeah. We don't change very well. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We had an absolute blast, and hopefully you'll come hang out with us again. We'll catch you guys later.
Bye. Bye.